hello everyone, and thanks Daniel for the grand introduction. That's a hobby of mine, but today we're not here to talk about cheese. Here to talk about marketing and how to train a team of AIs to market your company for you. So, well, it worked. Let's dive in. First thing I like to address when I'm talking about training a team of AIs instead of humans is the big question, will AI steal my job? Yes, how many of you feel like AI could do your whole job right now? Raise your hand. Oh no, maybe it's happening. I feel it's a strange feeling to be training AIs to do pieces of my job and training it parts of my own brain. But at this point in time, I think we're still okay, we're still safe. It always needs the human marketer touch still. But I do also believe, while I love AI, there will come a day where it will take everyone's jobs, and we're not ready for that. And there will be a point where I'm begging on my knees, like, please, ChatGPT, I said please before, please don't kill me first. And it probably will get me anyways. But we're not there yet. But who will steal your job? The cyborgs. So what I mean by cyborgs are people who are better at using AI than you are, and people who automate parts of their process and are 10 times more efficient than you are because they're using AI. So one example, this was already at least a year ago, this study, so it's probably even more intense now with the way that ChatGPT is coming ahead of humans. But they did a study on doctors, and they tested their diagnostic accuracy, their empathy, and their helpfulness to patients. And the human doctors without AI actually came out last. The ones who used AI came in second place, and ChatGPT was the winner on all three of those fronts. But the reason that the humans plus AI didn't come out first was because they were too skeptical of AI to trust its recommendations, and they also didn't know how to use it well. So I believe if they were doctors who were trained to use AI well and trusted its usefulness, then they would have come out ahead. And so that's what it looks like in the workplace now. I mean, there's a huge demand for people who use AI well. Our jobs aren't disappearing completely yet, but you're in competition with people who might be times 5 what you can do if you're not using AI. So this is one AI marketing team that I programmed for a Canadian startup. You can see the variety of different bots that I have. I know there are more complex, I've used some more complex marketing tools that are already existing. I've used, there's agents, but I actually prefer the good plain and simple custom GPTs because I have full control. There's always a human in the loop. I honestly don't trust AI to go and just start posting on my social media without me watching, because it could just do something really weird and embarrass me or the company. So this is my favorite tool, programming custom GPTs to do repeatable tasks and variation and creative work for marketing. So we have the content specialists at the top, so blog writing for search engine optimization or generative engine optimization, so optimizing for coming up in AI results. I have a LinkedIn content writer, email marketing specialist. That was actually the hardest one to program because it completely automated a monthly newsletter for me. I'll talk a little more about those parts later. I have a brand strategist that helps me bounce ideas for building strategies and has in-depth knowledge of the company. Social media specialist, customer support, not quite marketing, but super useful too. And remote work consultant who helps me get better communication or solve problems in the workflow. So anybody can do this. I don't know, how many of you in this audience are marketers? Raise your hands. Okay, so marketers can do this. How many of you are actually AI expert programmers? Okay, so maybe you don't need this, but you don't need to have that kind of expertise to be able to program bots like this. I think you would need some marketing expertise, but once you have them, I feel like anybody with decent taste in marketing content can run them themselves. Decent taste, I don't know. You have to have some kind of human filter. But so all you would need is a $20 a month ChatGPT account, a few hours of your time per bot, and definitely some patience for troubleshooting the bad output you got. Oh no, I went too far. Oh. The button got stuck for a second. Wait, did I skip one still? Okay. So no programming needed. You can use the ChatGPT, new GPT, the create mode here. So you can talk to it just like a person and work together to build the kind of bot that you need. And I'd like to share some tips on how to build the best custom GPTs with. All right, there we go. So when you're hiring a human, the first thing you're going to do is write a job description, right? So you want to know what expertise you need to hire for. It's the same with AI. You can't just say, write the best marketing email ever, like you're just picking a random person from the street to do it. You want someone who actually knows how to write marketing emails. So it's important to note the expertise that you want when you start creating your bots, or even just doing a prompt in a regular conversation. The knowledge of your target audience, maybe your industry. And also one thing that I like to note is that I want it to have very data-driven thinking. So I want it to make its decisions not just by whatever gut feeling means for AI. I want it to use data that it finds to understand how to do the best, make the best decisions to drive results. And then once you hire a person, do you just like bring them into your company and say, okay, start working right now? Usually not. There's an onboarding period where you have to teach them about what you do and what like all of the details of the company that they need to know to be able to do their job well. So one thing that I do when I'm starting this kind of work for a company is I like to create a master document of the company onboarding for the bots. So it's just all of the information, often very detailed, especially if I'm doing customer support bots. So you have like the product and service information, the positioning, maybe the competitive edge and the value propositions, who the target audience is, and then like lists of FAQs and information that they can use. And for marketing, I also like to share another document of the kind of brand voice and maybe our communication strategy and how we want it to write copy. So that could be brand archetypes, the tone, the voice, the style. Like, do you want it to be very serious, down to business, and like B2B, you want it to be very credible and serious? Or are you marketing like snacks to Gen Z and you want it to be super fun and weird? That's an important thing to note. And then glossary, like what words should it use, shouldn't it use to describe your company or your product, and do's and don'ts, and then sometimes examples of existing copy if you'd like it to follow what you've already been doing consistently. So once you've onboarded your bots, the next thing to think about for each type of task you're programming or each campaign that you're running is what's the end goal of this? So just like any good human marketer, every decision you make along the way should be focused on driving sales in the end, or what kind of results you're looking at. So the same thing to do with your bots is to teach them what's the end goal of these projects. So in this case, this example prompt would be the final goal of this email that we're writing to our clients is to book more sales calls. And to get there, we need a subject line that drives very high open rates, and then an email body with high click-through rates. And I was running a monthly newsletter for one company for over a year, and we had like 35% open rates and 10% click-through rates on the newsletter, which you can compare to the benchmarks. It's like more than double the results that you would be getting with regular email body. So while I do pride myself on being a great copywriter and at getting good results, honestly, my AIs have beat me. I used to actually compete with like subject line A/B testing. I would put in like, here's like my subject line idea that I think will do the best, and then have ChatGPT write the other one. I won sometimes, and I felt very proud, but it usually beat me and saved me a lot of time. So this might be a little small to see. I can share the slides later if anyone wants to use these prompts. But when it comes to formatting, sometimes you have to be very specific, especially with ChatGPT 5. It does some weird formatting stuff. The other day I wanted an email, and it gave me an email that had like 15 bullet point list. It was weird. It was just the strangest thing. So you have to be very specific if you want, especially if you want something consistent, like you're doing a monthly newsletter, and you want it to follow a specific style and format. So especially with length, you can specify like the character count, the word count, the number of sentences you want to come out, what the topic of each section is. And if you're doing multi-step tasks to get to the final version, you can say like, okay, and insert this part that I already approved without changing it at all, and then you have 2 sentences about this. It's great to be really specific, noting the goals and also noting your desired tone. Like this part should be funny, or this part should be serious. And then aside from that, just leaving room for creativity, of course, because if you don't, you'll get the same newsletter every single month, or the same social post every day, or it'll just be like AI garbage where you can just tell it's AI that's copying all the boring stuff that's already on the internet. So here are 3 ways that I like to enable creativity in a way that works for AI. The first one is to be very clear on what's a strict rule versus where they have room for improvisation. So, for example, I need you to follow the format exactly. That is a strict rule. But aside from that, the content within it, I want you to be creative and come up with new ideas. The second here is to give examples and then encourage further ideation. So if we were writing a newsletter about AI and marketing, for example, I could say, okay, I want you to find new content on the upcoming trends, maybe the newest tools in marketing, and anything else that would be relevant to an AI marketing newsletter. Sometimes it can get a little unhinged, but for the most part, giving a few strong examples and then allowing it some space to think of its own ideas works pretty well. And the third one is setting some boundaries for creativity. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but in many cases, you want to make sure that your brand still comes across credible, doesn't make like a weird racist joke or something. I think they're programmed not to do that, but you never know. So it's good to say, use all your creativity, be fresh, witty, have fun, but keep it within these lines. So this is one of the most difficult things I've programmed my custom bots to do, is looking for content online. This is an example of how I would do it for a newsletter for, say, an early stage company that doesn't have a blog, doesn't have their own content to share, but wants to keep their potential customers engaged with a newsletter. So I would have it search the internet and find interesting on-topic things to feature in the newsletter. This definitely isn't a one-prompt wonder. It will be a bit more iteration to get it to come out right. But for the most part, it's important to include where to search. Tell it to go online and search for stuff, not just completely make it up, because it will make it up otherwise sometimes. Let it know that you want high-quality articles from credible sources. You can outline what that means to you. And also, if you want things that are relevant and up-to-date, you can set date limits. So only search within the past 3 weeks or something like that. And again, topic examples with some room for creativity, asking it to add instructions that ensure some kind of variation. Never quite pinpointed what worked for that, but I got it with this prompt. So just things to let it get creative and vary so you don't get the same article every week. And then last but not least, GPT-5 is a little better at this, but avoiding 404 errors, especially with GPT-4, it would always pull back articles that were just pages that were no longer in existence and weird 404 stuff that I couldn't use. So I have it like double, triple check to make sure that the pages are good for featuring. But yeah, that being said, ChatGPT-5, while it does do some things better, I still use GPT-4 for almost everything I do, aside for the bots, because it's so much better, and they just announced that they're taking it away forever on Friday, so I will be having a funeral if anyone wants to come. My old favorite colleague, not really, but I will be honestly devastated because it was so good. So now, especially with GPT-5, which I'm trying to accept in my life, then you have to be very patient with troubleshooting. So the one thing I would guarantee, especially if you're programming these custom GPTs for the first time, is that there's a very low chance that they will work in the first try. Some more simple bots will, but especially if they're doing more complex tasks, you will have to troubleshoot. So yes, these are all, in this entire slideshow, real prompts that I have used, including the first one, which I've probably said at least 300 times to ChatGPT in the past year. But it's not useful for anything other than venting and then getting killed first in the AI apocalypse, so. Stay calm, best advice, just relax, know it's not gonna come out right the first few times, test it, troubleshoot, and repeat. And you don't always need to know exactly what's going wrong. You can use the create mode, you can ask the AI itself, I'm getting this error again and again, even though I thought I programmed it otherwise, help me find out what the problem is and fix it. And it works most of the time. And then this last prompt, I would save this one and copy and paste it. Whenever this one's mostly for using the bots or any conversation with AI where it keeps doing the same error over and over again, like, okay, I won't use M dashes, and then it keeps putting them in, and you have to do it over and over again, and it's like, I didn't use one of those, what are you talking about? And you feel like it's gone crazy. That prompt right there is magic. It will go in, it'll tell you what's gone wrong, why it's stuck, and it will help you find a way out of there. Sometimes you just have to start a new chat though, but it usually works. So once you've programmed it, then it's ready to use. I still really like to stress the importance of human involvement. I do believe that AI will be at a level probably within the very near future where it can manage things on its own. Personally, for marketing, for copywriting, I don't see that happening yet. So when you do generate, make sure you check, iterate a little bit, tweak things, copy and paste, but always edit a little bit after pasting. People know when it's just AI slop as it comes through, and you want to make it have that human touch always. So that's where you revise it, send it, post it, do whatever you need, and should be good to go. And saved tons of hours along the way. So I still do value human people, but a lot of these companies I've worked with are very early stage startups. They're still working on getting funding. They don't have the budget to hire a team of marketers. And I've been there as a strategist with maybe one intern, trying to get a lot done for a company when the list could be 100 things long and we have time for the top 5. So using AI is an amazing way to boost your efforts, multiply your team, no matter how big or small they are. And it's pretty much the same as working with people. You have to know what you're hiring for, know what your goals are, communicate very clearly with the people what you want them to do, and then just be patient. We're not perfect. They're created by us, so what do you expect? They're going to make mistakes too. And that's it. If anyone has any questions, I guess it's time now. And also feel free, if you're trying it out and need some help, reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help. Also, I would love a nice photo for my LinkedIn, since I want that little banner. So if anyone wants to take some and send them to the group. I feel like this applies across the board of when you don't like the output. It's like trying to identify more specifically what makes it not sound human. Because it doesn't understand. If you say, be more authentic, be more human, it almost gets weirder sometimes because it's not human. Or if you like don't want it to be so cliche, like every LinkedIn post everyone's ever done, all combined into one post, like gotta get rid of it. I feel, for me, it is like about identifying what you don't like about it and getting it to fix that. And honestly, sometimes I don't know. I'm just like, God, I hate that. Like, why do I hate that so much? And I'll ask it, I'll say, I really hate that. Can you help me figure out why? And it'll list all the reasons you might hate it. And then you can pick one and realize, like, that's the thing. And then you ask it to change it, and it will help. I think it's like less of gut feeling and more very specific instructions are what help it. Because if you tell it to be human, it won't, because it's not. I guess it's hard to know the full boundaries of it. I mean, it has access to everything on the internet, which includes pretty much everything humans have ever thought of. So I think it can go pretty far. I mean, what I'm doing is just using custom GPTs, so it's only $20 a month, and I don't think there's a limit. I haven't reached it yet. So yeah, I guess to what extent can it harness the expertise? It's hard to pinpoint an exact amount, I guess. Yeah. I see someone hiding over there. To avoid the fights, honestly, even though I'm good at this, I still fight with ChatGPT almost every day, at least a little bit. But I think really what it is what I've learned the most is learning to know why I don't like something, or really understanding why I feel a certain way about a certain output. Because once you can identify that, you can say it clearly enough for the bot to understand. So I guess I would emphasize a similar point of like, why do you like this? Maybe not necessarily the example, but think about, like, list the reasons that you like something. If you can't figure it out, send it to ChatGPT and say, put bullet points of like why this is a good post, and then you can pull those pieces out and use them in your prompts to repeat it. So I think giving more information in your prompts and knowing what you actually want while you do it, I think would help. I think it depends so much on what industry you're in. I mean, if you're targeting entrepreneurs or doing B2B marketing, maybe a LinkedIn posting bot, or if you're running ads, something that can help you write better ads, or you can even have it critique the visuals. Like, I don't use it to create images for ads, but I send screenshots and I say like what's good about this design, what needs work. But yeah, it's hard. It depends on your industry and where your target audience would be. And I mean, once you think about that, however you can reach them, and organically if there's no budget. Thank you, everyone.